So you talk to dead people?
Dead people come and talk to me. That same voice, God or whatever your version of that is, be like, hey, your house is going to burn down. Like, you need to move. This is really bad. And then sure enough, 8 a.m., the fires, like, it took it. I heard a voice. I'm really scared. I don't know what to do. I'm like, just go into the light. And then I call my friend and I'm like, did your grandmother just die? Because she just came to me and I just walked her in the light. She's like, she died 2 hours ago.
Whoa. We do have way more power than we think. I think everything is limitless, as crazy as it sounds. Whenever I see someone that's called crazy, I'm like, I want to look further into that person. Can you look a little deeper to what these crazies are saying, quote unquote? So you talk to dead people? Okay, so I love that. This is what I do. So I'm very much into that. 2 mediums on back-to-back episodes, and they both said they got me dead.
Thank you.
Thank you, love. We'll start when we start, but so which direction you want to go with? Because I'm down for whatever.
Okay. Like, normally I just sometimes just start right in and we just start talking, getting to know each other.
That's what we're doing. So who are you?
Well, I'm Susie Abromeit, actress, writer, producer, but also podcaster of great ones. But yeah, like I was saying, sometimes dead people come and talk to me, or sort of you get these prophetic moments, and you sometimes, and I liken this to meditation, that like if you can kind of clear your mind, and I think we all have this ability where if you like, and I started meditating when I was 12 because I was like an athlete growing up, and I feel like once you're able to kind of clear the deck, and I didn't even believe in God. I was like, I come from agnostic parents. My mother called herself a recovering Catholic, and my parents were very just like against organized religion and so for me, I had a very religious coach who would talk about, I talk to God every morning. Okay, what's this God business? And then I was like meditating just because it just helps with visualization, relaxation, and sort of like, whatever issue that comes up of like stopping you, of like feeling like worthy of winning kind of thing. It's like there's I always find like with athletes or with acting or with anything, it's sort of like there's this like next level of like complete just like freedom and not like thinking and just being in the zone. And sometimes like our parenting or this, like we can make things like mean it's like life and death. So then that feels really terrifying to like be on the tennis court or whatever that is. So the meditation would help me. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this as an experiment and talk to God. And so the next thing you know, I would get these like downloads, and I would sort of like know things, like I would get these sort of messages. You can say it's like your higher self talking to you, or it's this like connection with the divine, the universe, God, whatever your definition is, like. And there would be just these prophetic moments that there would be no way that I could know what would happen, and that led to knowing that like. Back in 2018, when that same voice, God or whatever your version of that is, would, be like, hey, your house is going to burn down. Like, you need to move. This is really bad. And I was like, I just moved in. I'm with my 2 friends. I'm in Malibu. It's amazing. It overlooks the water. And then my best friend, who's also very like has that same ability, was like very kind of prophetic as well, was like, what are you doing here? There's going to be fires. And I was like, no, that's so stupid. And then the night before, the wind, I don't know, was like 50 to like 60 mile an hour winds. It was really dry. And I just had this, and there were the Paradise fires. And this was like 6 hours away, but I just had it was so clear to me, and I could feel it, where God was like, you need to leave. So you need to leave tomorrow, take your dog to work day. And then sure enough, 8 a.m., there's like no power, like all the animals, like the birds and literally the bees and all these animals like were gone. And then there's this huge fire cloud. And it was sort of like there were these messages over and over and over. And then sure enough, I was like, oh my God. And then I had these visions that night. Like as soon as, I packed up whatever I could and then left. And then that night I just like saw the house. Like it was just this vision over and over. I'm like, it's gone. The fire's like, it took it. Like I was like, and I knew this before my roommates knew. And I was sort of like just rocking back and forth. And everyone's like, it's going to be fine, you guys. It's so fine. The house is so great. And I was just like, and we were in some like Beverly Hills, like fancy, like our landlord who's so lovely. Shout out to Christos, but we were literally like, he wanted to take us out and be like, hey, everything's gonna be fine. We're all good. And I'm just like, no, we're not. No, it's not. No. And so I'm like a crazy person. So then I was like, I'm psychic, and I know. Just like repeating it over and over. And they're like, Susie, are you okay? I'm like, I'm crashing out. I'm crashing out. I know. And so then sure enough, like, it's like the burning house. I'm like, it's fine. And then like the next day, it wasn't even a surprise. It was like almost, it was like, I know. And now what do I do with this sort of ability? But then it started to being like, I guess, dead people would, it's sort of, I feel like you open this door, and when you open that door, it's like these, spirits can kind of come in where I feel like in ayahuasca or like these like psychedelics, it's like the veil comes down a bit. I haven't done ayahuasca, but I've done other psychedelics, but that hasn't, like only just a very small amount, but for other people, it really has like been able to come down. And I think for me, it's like it's a sensation of like this extra sense of like feeling energy, and you can't see it, you can't touch it, but you can like feel it. And so it almost feels like a knocking. So if you open that door, then like people, will want to like, dead people want to talk to you. So especially when it's like close family members or close friends of like, their family, they'll leave messages. So like, for instance, a friend of mine, her grandmother died, but like I was walking my dog and like heard, like I was like, and this is before I was like ever talking to dead people or like.
So just before 2018 then?
This was right after all that stuff. So this is 2019 and I was, or 2019, 2020?
After fires, post fires.
After fires. And I was sort of accepting sort of this ability that I feel like I had when I was younger, but then I sort of like, I was like, God was like,
as you would react. Yeah.
God was like, hey, maybe don't be in this relationship. And I'm like, you're telling me to stay. So I'm like, I'm really going to double down and then do like the thing that I like twice in the wrong relationship. So then God's like, you know what? You're on your own, kid. Bye. Peace. And like, that was it. So then God was like, I'm not talking to you because you don't listen. And that has been a journey to listen. That has been ever part of my journey. But the talk. So this was maybe the first time that was so apparent. Where I was walking my dog, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, and
literally a voice, like you. I guess
yeah, it was like a voice. It was kind of like a slight vision, but more of like again, it was like that feeling. It was like a feeling. There was like a almost. God, it was like a sensation of something moving through me. Like it suddenly went, and I went like this, and I sort of went like, whoa, what the hell is this? And then I heard a voice, and I'm like, I'm either schizophrenic, and that's going to be fun,
that's one thing.
or like I'm just going to lean into this and like see what happens and see what this experiment is. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with this for a second. And so I hear this voice. It's like, I'm really scared. I don't know what to do. I'm like, just go into the light. I think this is my friend's grandmother who was like a mother to her. I was like, just go into the light. She's like, I'm really scared. I'm like, it's okay. You're going to be okay. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know what I'm saying, but I'm like, you're good. You're good. Just go into the light. And then I call my friend and I'm like, did your grandmother just die, or is she in the process of dying right now? Like, because she just came to me and I just walked her in the light. She's like, she died 2 hours ago.
Whoa.
So that was like, that's
first
when
validation almost, besides the fire, I guess.
I mean, there was
a lot.
So many. I mean, there's just there have been a lot. There have been a lot of instances like that, but that feels the most like, or it's like my grandmother. She had Alzheimer's for 15 years, and she was kind of in the same state. And it was like right around Christmas time again. It was like 2019. It was like when all that, I guess that was all sort of popping off for me. And I sit down and I meditate and I say, hey, I was like, Grammy, it's okay. You can let go. Like, everyone's okay. You don't need to stick around anymore. I know that's why you're still sort of here and you can't let go. I was like, everyone's okay. We're going to be okay. And like, we love you and da da da. And then a few days later, like randomly, like no one had heard from her. Like, it was just, she was in a home. She was being taken care of. It had been same status quo for years and years and years. And then she just let go and like died. So like, there's this, I don't know, there's this connection. But hold on, I feel like I've been like talking a lot. I really want to hear about like.
That's why you're here. You don't have to hear anything. But just for context, we just met 15 minutes ago. I did not know the conversation was going to go in this direction until 14 minutes ago. So this is exciting for me. For anyone that didn't know the show is improvised, here you go. Did it ever scare you at all? Like, I feel like I don't feel like this because I don't know, but I would try to imagine the discovery of this process is a little jolting. So I know you said you were meditating at 12. That sounds very early to be even tapping into that ideation in general. Like, I didn't start meditating until later in life, and that was a new process.
Very before it was like a cool thing to do or anyone really knew about it. This was like mid 90s.
Yeah, it's even more when it was like
that. Yeah,
it's like
you're just
holy water on your face, you might burn. Yeah. So what was that discovery process? I know you just kind of let us in a little bit, but was it scary at all? Did you question? I know you made a joke about the schizophrenia, but did you question the reality of it?
I mean, I do think that there is. I mean, I heard this from, I want to say,
Danny DeVito?
No, Danny DeVito is the answer to everything. No, I was just going to say that like Mayan cultures or like, I think they believe that schizophrenia is just, you have a door open and you just don't know how to like process that. So like that makes sense to me. And so, you know, I guess if there's other voices, so maybe it's like, I don't know, the drugs. I think like drugs can bring that in for sure, or the psychedelics, like, but you don't always know what you're allowing in. Mm-hmm. And so what I was like told by one of my friends, he was like, you need to go like when you're astral projecting. So this is what, when I would meditate, I would really start like, it feels like your body's lifting off and it's kind of separate. And then all of a sudden it feels like you're going into space. So that started happening when I was like 18 and I was like, oh my God, swim back, swim back, swim back. This is terrifying. I don't know what I'm doing.
Doggy paddle.
Does anyone know about this? You know, and this is before that I could really like, I guess, talk to people about it. But I had like one of my friends' mothers, we had so many conversations. She's like, oh my God, like that's amazing. And because she would, you know, go to India and ashrams and things like that. And I think that, you know, so I was like, okay, so maybe I'm onto something. I mean, this whole thing has been an experiment, but sometimes when you do go wandering, so it's sort of like when you sort of astral, so you're sitting here, you're meditating, and you're sort of like, I don't know, connecting with God. Like, that's what I do is like, you know, God, speak to me. God, you know, like I want, you know, tell me all the downloads, or it's just like, I'm like receiving sort of feeling and just allowing, you know, I think, is this what happens? I feel like remote viewing or something. It's kind of similar where when this is wild.
Please.
So with the astral projecting, and this is what I've noticed when, you know, I'd wander in on like guys that I was dating, I'd be like, I wonder what's going on with this and why am I getting these mixed signals and yeah, like whatever that is of like my small little life of like, you know, instead of like contemplating the universe, I'm like, what's going on with my ex? I'm like, why is he not texting me? Like, why? Or
it's
like,
it's way more important. What are you talking about?
Or like the guy that I like, why is he not, you know? And so, or whoever. And so I would want answers, or I would, you know, want to understand. It was really to like understand. And so sometimes what was really crazy was that when I would kind of like download them and, you know, get a sense of like, oh, this is what's happening. And then like I would, you know, talk to them later. I'm like, is this happening in your life? And this is, and they're like, oh my God, totally is. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So there's like, so then the thing is though, if they're in a, you know, dark place, whatever
the person you're trying to get in from, like, want to understand
is like, if there's like dark entities or something attached, then you get enveloped. Like,
you attached to that?
it attaches to you.
That's
So
it.
then, I mean, that happened to me where I was like, I've never felt more terrified. I mean, I smoked some weed, and you can say it was just like, oh, it was a bad trip on like weed or something. But what was really interesting was for a few days, it was almost like I left a door open, and then I was attracting that Joker energy. It was like a Joker. I want to destroy everything and myself and everything. Like it was absolutely terrifying. Like the Heath Ledger, like Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no rhyme or reason. It's just absolute terror. And then I was like driving. So not just in my mind, like I was actually like driving around, and I was like contemplating, do I want to stay in California? Do I not want to stay in California? And I get lost, I'm driving like in this park area, and all of a sudden there's like a trailer, and then there's an ATV, and it comes, and I'm like, whoa, how did I get here? Like, and all of a sudden this ATV comes like so close. He comes an inch away from my window, and it was literally this Joker, like,
What? The guy driving?
The guy driving the ATV came like the Joker energy, and I was terrified, like some really, it was absolutely
So this
terrifying.
guy was just like messing with you kind of thing, this random dude?
Yeah, but it wasn't like, the difference of, I live in New York. So I'm like, when you deal with somebody really, really crazy, like you can kind of like be like, oh, pretend that you're crazy, and they're like, I don't want to mess with you. But when you deal with somebody who's really, really scary, crazy, you're like, oh shit. So I started shaking, and I was just like, not today, Satan, not today. We're not doing this. Okay. I'm sorry. Like whatever. But it was a very Joker-like energy of, I'm going to hurt you just because I can. Like feeling, and I like drove off, but I was like, my dog was barking, it was crazy. And then I was like staying at this house in Big Bear, and I was like on this balcony, and so it was the same energy kind of following me, if this makes any sense. So I'm in the middle of nowhere, there's nobody around, it's the dead of summer, and there's this like truck. And so when I was a kid, I had a lot of like vans. Like I would be working out. I was a top athlete as a tennis player. So you sometimes like do runs. But these white vans, grown ass men over like when I was 12 would just like come like, hey baby, and like, be like, no, not today. We're not doing that. Mm-hmm. So I know that like scary kind of energy. I kind of want to kidnap you.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, it's just what it was.
Yeah.
It was the 90s.
Yeah, of course. That's an excuse. Yeah, 90s.
But it would happen frequently. So this time in that like never, you're older. They're like, So you're 42. Nah, we're done. So this car, like a maintenance car or whatever, comes up and sees me, kind of stares at me really weirdly, and then keeps driving. And I was like, okay, that's weird. I'm clocking that. Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's no one around. Car, like, goes around and disappears. Then comes back from that same way. Comes around again, looks at me again, just looking at me like, I'm like, okay, my spidey senses are fucking going off. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, if it comes around again and everyone's like, Susie, you're okay. I'm on a Zoom call with like two of my best friends for work. And I'm like, this is bad. I know that. I know that energy. I feel like I just dealt with that. Car comes around again, parks its car in front of mine on my property, like of the place that I'm staying. Guy gets out. It's like kind of like dusk now, and he's like making a call, and I'm like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah,
like everything is like firing. So I like grab all my stuff, jump in the car, and I come back later, like an hour later, and collect all my stuff and find out that like, yeah, there was nobody supposed to be doing maintenance like across the street or like whatever. So it was like, it was
something.
So it could have been just like, oh, wow, that's, maybe, but it felt really dark. So then the person that I was checking in on and astral projecting. So I go home and I was like, wait, I think you're supposed to close the door or something. So I was like, Christ compels you, Christ compels you, with like sage and shit. And I'm just, Christ compels you. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I've seen every scary movie. And I'm like, I think this is what you do. And Christ compels you. I don't know if this is only one. Christ compels you in the name of Jesus Christ. And like, just going through, you are banished, you are banished, you are banished. This energy shall never visit me. You shall not pass. Like 3 times over again. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So then, fucking sage and shit.
Jesus.
You know, like, I'm like, do crystals even work? I don't fucking know, but they're there. Ah. So, like, so I meet up with that friend, you know, who I was like checking in on. He tried to kill himself around that same time.
Get out of here.
I swear to I was like, what was going on? Because he's like, I tried to kill myself.
Oh.
And I was like, that's way too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, what do you do with that?
I don't know. You just don't open the door. You go in.
But yeah, so even if say hypothetically you didn't open that door, that's just protecting you. Like he's still now it's just all on him.
I don't know.
Like
I think we're all connected.
Yes, I'm saying like, but you like closing that door isn't preventing him from taking any of those actions. It's just protecting.
Yes. No, it's saying, hey, this energy is not allowed. And I, you know, this is sort of, this whole thing is an experiment as far as I'm concerned. Like this whole life is
that's
an
what we got cut
experiment.
off saying, and I agree with that. Yeah.
You know, that it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, but I kind of feel like I'm just, you know, like wandering and being like, okay, well, this is interesting. And what the hell is all this? And
so from that experience with that negative, dark energy, if you will, were you able to feel like you can cut that off and control that and prevent that from attaching to you having your own experiences?
yeah, I mean, I sort of like saged myself, and then that energy like never visited me again. So there's something to be said, I guess, about like, you know, closing the door or whatever it was. But it like, I think the mind is so powerful. So I think we can create entire worlds with our minds. Like when I was doing this acting class, I mean, try this. This is like what Nancy Meyer? No, Nancy, fuck, I forget her last name. Nancy someone.
I don't know why I said Briggs.
That'd be amazing if that was her.
Okay.
Well, she was like an acting teacher, but what she also like would teach like how to deal with like certain energies. So like there would be like my friend Robert, so he would be on one side, I would be on the other, and one person would be sending like really negative energy towards them, and they would have to block it in their minds with like, okay, let's try like a wooden fortress. So it's like sort of, you know, we're still friendly, but like I'm still in a fortress, so it's wood,
it's penetratable,
or it's brick, or I would be like, I want steel and metal, but I want mirrors, so you have to face yourself. You know? You have to face yourself, and there's all like spiky point, like you can create everything in your mind. So, and it would work. So like anytime that there would be like a bad energy, I would like imagine myself like encased in, I'm protected by light, and like, or I would use that mechanism, and it does seem to help. Like,
well, you know, this might be completely off kilt, but off kilt or tilt. I say things wrong all the time. It's people listen to this show long enough. You get what I'm saying? So I went. I'm going to tie this all together, I think. So I went to Vegas one time. I was there like for a day by myself for some weird reason. And you know Zach Baggins, the guy like he's a very popular paranormal guy on TV, very extravagant. He has this museum in Vegas where he bought this house, which some horrible shit happened in the house. And he has this wild ass collection of evil things. Like
I do not fuck with that.
Me either. But I was like, I have time. Let's go check it out. And I remember I was talking to my friend Laura. I was like, hey, I'm about to go to this thing. She's like, pray. I'm like, what am I stepping into? This is like a museum. And so I go into it, and it just, you feel it. The energy was thick, and that was what his intention was. And there's rooms where it was like these ancient dolls from antiquity that are supposed to be haunted, like
Annabelle or something,
shit like that. It has I forget what the box is called, but it has this it's the most haunted item in the world. It's like in a box, blocked out. And Post Malone was on, I think, like Rogan's podcast talking about it when he was on video, and he was like dead ass serious. There was an experience where like there was like a mark on him. It was crazy. My whole point of this was, I feel like I do that sometimes. Like even when I have just heavy conversations, shit have nothing to do with dark spirits, heavy emotional conversations, I'm able to, whether it's meditation afterwards or just separate, I can remove it. And I feel like I'm doing that in practice and so much in my life without
currently right now after a conversation.
Oh yeah, in my head I have a steel fortress, glass. No. But my whole point of this was after I left, and even through that experience, you know, I was trying to experience and go through, I felt the evilness in there, which is I'm not recommending anyone to go to this place. But at the same time, afterwards, I feel like I do a practice of physically like I'm moving my body, I'm shaking it off. I'm saying to myself constantly, I'm not letting that attach onto me. I wasn't even like trying to think it was going to follow me or anything like that, but just the weight of it. I was mentally practicing of just, okay, it's gone. I did that, but I'm leaving it there. I'm not bringing it with me. And that feeling of, I think what you're explaining with that acting mechanism, if you will, it felt like that. It was a mental vision. It was a mental verbalization in a sense of just shaking it off. And I felt fine. I haven't thought about it since I'm explaining the story now, but there is a power in that visualization, and people think it's silly or this or that until you actually practice it. And my whole point of this is we do have that ability, whether it's some dark evil shit that you're explaining or just this emotional stuff that we go through. We do have way more power than we think, way more power than we think. And that's ultimately the lesson of however people want to take your story or what I'm explaining. It's just we have this capability that is mental, but it's beyond mental. It's energetic. It's so much more than that. And I think we can apply crazy stories as we're talking about to everything we go through. And this mental practice of physically doing that, if it's hand motions, if it's envisioning a wall, whatever it may be, it's all energy. It's all energy, and even our thoughts are energy. So if we can combat that with energy, we can just get through anything, I feel like.
Yeah.
It just sounds crazy.
Well,
it doesn't to me, but some people, even my audience.
My boyfriend immediately, who's very scientific, and we debate this all the time.
Objective and just
is totally like he meditates and everything, but he's very of the Sam Harris mind, and I appreciate that. I appreciate him as the intellectual dark web of like him and like Joe Rogan and like Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson and fucking Brett Weinstein. I appreciate all their points of view, but yeah, I think like even if it's a placebo effect. Like even if
that
like that's actually because he would say, I would argue and I would say, hey, look, but even if this is a placebo effect, like even if you're feeling good about just saying like you can control things with your mind, like in terms of, being like, I'm not letting, this negative thought or I'm not, I mean, it's as simple as that. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, but placebo in itself is when people just, it's probably, okay, well, explain placebo. What is that? Like, that is all in the mind.
Yeah,
Take a sugar pill and all of a sudden your rash is gone. It's like, what was it, the sugar? Like, what are you talking about here?
I love this. I wish he was here.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not even me trying to like debate. It's just more like sometimes when I speak, people think I'm partially, maybe I'm debating because I like playing the devil's advocate sometimes, even if people think I say something like, and that's David, that's your train of thought. No, I'm just taking the other side because it's fun to take the other side.
It's totally fun.
But it's also, and I'm very much like that. And I don't like arguing, but it's fun to have these conversations. But nevertheless, when it comes to like the placebo, doesn't that say enough? That says enough to me.
Yeah,
like
totally.
It's just the placebo itself is kind of people use that as a counter argument, but that is at the same time almost helping what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. How did you get into this? So how did you decide that talking about your shirt and dead people accepting death? And, because I do think it's just we're transmuting energy. And I think this is sort of the matrix anyway. And we're here to understand what we are in consciousness and like have these avatars like I'm Susie and I was a tennis player and an actor, like whatever those titles. Because when you get really high, like you're sort like I had accidentally too many weed pretzels one time. I had like one pretzels. And then could
have been the salt.
Well, I had one and then realized I didn't realize I was high. So then I was like, oh, I love these chocolate pretzels. Ate the whole bag. Horrible decision. Horrible. But I was like, whoa. I was like, am I a man? Am I a woman? Am I a dog? I don't know what I am. Like I was so literally out there. I've never been more like in terms of like the meditation of like going out there in the world. Like I was like, oh, I'm like a soul. I'm like nothing.
Yeah, well, I think it can go two ways. So earlier you were talking about breaking the veil, or kind of when you were experimenting, if you will, and you open this door. I think when it comes to if we're talking about weed and getting high, because I've been there plenty of times. Now it's kind of blended the two, where I say the same things sober. When I'm high, I go even deeper. So some people are like, David, you high? I'm like, no, I'm sober. I would say that even when I'm high, I'm like, I would say the same thing sober. I just happen to be high right now when I'm saying it. But at the same time, it's I think that certain like mushrooms or all these other things, I think that is removing the veil in many ways. But sometimes you can just be way too high. I'm just stupid right now. Like that exists too. Also, I'm not diminishing that possibility, but at the same time, I think that when I've tripped plenty of times, just that it is removing the filter. And I think we see things and understand things the way they really are, whatever that means. And I think we've been over generations and generations of human existence that's ingrained in us, and through the paradigms we've been told and what we see on TV, told to do this, told to do that, that is just putting us further and further and further away from what quote unquote reality really is.
Yeah.
And I think everyone that is deemed crazy, if you will, so at this point in my life, whenever I see someone that's called crazy, I'm like, I want to look further into that person. Like, what are they actually? Can you look a little deeper to what these crazies are saying, quote unquote? Because I think sometimes they're out of their minds. Again, I'm playing both sides here, but I do think that it is this life and what we're doing. It's just so much more than the tangible, objective minds that people that are smarter than me, like you're talking about your boyfriend's mind or these other names that you mentioned. Yeah, there's some people that just want that tangible scientific proof. But to me, there's just so much more that maybe right now, where we're at in society and human evolution, we're not there yet to have that proof. But that also doesn't mean that doesn't exist.
100%.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just don't put anything in a box. I'm not saying this is so. I'm saying this is possible. And to me, I just like I just don't. I think everything is limitless. As crazy as it sounds.
No, I totally agree. Hold on. How did you come to this podcast? How did this come about? I'm so curious.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you because again, we just met. But for people that know the show, it's a little redundant, but it's okay. So I'm talking shit. We're good. We're in New York right now, for those that don't know. And so we're just talking about it. I had my family on before this, and I was like, it's so fascinating. I got a chance to have this wonderful relationship with Spotify. They allow me to record here, and it's in World Trade Center 4 where this is being recorded, right outside where my dad died. So my dad died in Tower 1, 2001, and on 9/11. And where all these conversations started from, it was just definitely a lot of curiosity, but it was more, my dad died in the public light, not individually, obviously, with thousands of other people, but I always got this attention because everyone knew when my dad died. And partially of just the idea of just normalizing a conversation that is the most normal thing in the world, death, that unites us all. It was partially all that attention that I got. It was not guilt, but it was like, what about all the other people that died on a normal Wednesday or Tuesday that don't get that recognition, don't get that text every year? So it was partially also wanting to highlight other people's stories, and it just started to evolve into this explorative conversation. Like we were talking about earlier about when you brought up your boyfriend and what you guys see differently. I was like, oh no, I think that's healthy to have, especially in any relationship. I like the
pushback.
I like the pushback. That's why a lot of my friends, we agree in a lot foundationally, but we also disagree in a lot, and that's important because when you surround yourself, and especially with the algorithm today, we constantly see things that support our narrative, which is comforting, sure, but I like exploring things I don't agree with. And everyone assumes whoever having the show, oh, you're bringing them on because you're good. Maybe sometimes, yes, but also I'm down to talk to anyone that doesn't agree with me, because I think that agree to disagree is so important, especially in the world today where everything is so divisive. We need to find that middle ground of saying, hey, I will hear you out, you'll hear me out, and ask more questions as opposed to just on the surface saying no because it doesn't align. Whenever I hear a no, I'm like, okay, let me understand more. Let me hear more and see if it shifts anything in me. Maybe just be open to that. Kind of what your experience is, allowing, I don't know where it's going, but I'm going to allow it to happen. So it took me on this path of just having these conversations that's way more than death. It's life.
Yeah.
And so all these conversations have been a gift to me, and people always ask me, this must have helped you with your grief so much. And yeah, in many ways, but I was also it's been 25 years, but these conversations have helped me navigate life.
Yeah.
It's helped me with my relationships, intimately and not intimately. It's helped me the way I listen to people. It's helped me the way I understand people. And now I just don't look at people as, oh, that guy's an asshole. Now I'm looking at people as, I'm asking more questions. Why is he an asshole? Yeah. Was it just something that just happened today? Was it something that happened 10 years ago? Was it his fault? Yeah, he has to take accountability, but it just takes this whole rabbit hole of not just digging the shovel in one time. And now I want to keep digging and not get too obsessed about it. But at the same time, there's so much more in this life into people than we see. But we're so quick to just judge people and make a decision on someone based on one clip or based on one comment and this, that, and the other. And it's like there's just so much more. And it's sometimes it's not about getting the answer. It's about the seeking. And I love the seeking.
Yeah.
And the answers are sometimes in the seeking, even if you don't get an answer, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what I think, I think we're all connected and we're all like, thou art God. Like we're all parts of God or parts of like human consciousness.
Sorry to interrupt, even though I just interrupted. So I'm not sorry. Please. I'm interrupting.
Yeah.
I am interrupting.
Because I do it all the time. I should not do it on my podcast.
It's fine. It's all good. Yeah. Well, what is like 2 podcasts I was going on right now. What is God? Because you keep saying God, and then earlier on, your family said, I believe you said you're kind of anti-religion. So what is God to you? Is it like a biblical sense or a creator? What is God when you keep saying God?
I feel like we create these I feel like a lot of them are allegories and metaphors and, to understand because I think like we were just kind of basic. So we're just like, me hunting, me killing. Oh, I want to kill that person. And they're like, no, don't kill him. Why not? I want to kill him. I want that food. I want wife. Bah! Like, sorry. It's so stupid. So then they're like, no, stop doing that. And it's like, what? So then we have to create like God as a person and somebody that we fear and somebody that we respect
and can relate to kind of.
And like a man with an old beard, because men with old beards who are 1,000 years old, we respect because they have the wisdom and the knowledge. And I think it's like we still are not quite capable of maybe fully understanding the scope of what that other realm is and what God is, or it's this, I don't even know. Like
incomprehensible.
So it's like we had to turn it into like, man in the sky with, like a robe and a long beard or, the embodiment of like God, like on earth, which was, Christ, the Christ energy. So then and so I think like that was an example of like God in people form of just this radical love, of like, you're going to try to hurt me and kill me and I still love you and I still forgive you and you don't know what you're, so I think that's like, that's kind of radical, especially like in today's age where everyone wants to kill each other. We're kind of, even though
forever, a little in this age.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's fair. Yeah. Well, it's like we make like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of thing. And then we're just like, I want to hurt you. I want to kill you because you don't believe in what I think. And what I really think that is like what I have found even for myself is if I'm really stuck to certain ideas, I'm like, no, this is what it is. And I believe that. And da-da-da-da-da. Because then anything that I guess challenges that, then you have to question everything about your reality. Yes. So that can be like, and then all of it, I've had so many like metaphorical deaths of like you have a way of looking at the world and then that falls down and then you rebuild it and then that has to continue to die over and over, and you're like, yeah. So I think like the pushback is necessary to consider. And, I think it's more of, I think it's like a balancing act, but of like not being too rigid and not being too like an amoeba of just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like,
well, yeah, but it's scary. I mean, well, first you still haven't told me what you think God is then.
Well, I think it's like it's incomprehensible, but I think it's this higher
source creator. Is it a creator?
So I've been doing this Joe Dispenza. I'm trying to like I've been doing this Joe Dispenza meditation, and I swear to God, like I highly recommend because I was like trying this on as an experiment of being like, is this shit real? Is this gonna work for me? Because like, I want to find my man, and I'm 42, and it's kind of feeling like a no. It's kind of feeling like I'm gonna be sitting out.
I did a 3-day Joe Dispenza live event in LA in March.
Oh my
so
God!
I'm speaking your language a little bit.
So I went in thinking like, oh, it cures cancer and this, and I'm like, those are some lofty claims. I also believe that. Like, I believe the mind is that powerful. And being an athlete, I used to hear, these like martial arts like instructors. Like my tennis coach would tell me all these like amazing teachers around the world who would use their minds to heal their cancer, to do this, they would be imagining these little men going in and healing all the parts of their body. And I was like, whoa, so I think that's what I was taught at a very early age. But then like the Joe Dispenza goes a little bit further, and like you're bringing, I guess, like I'm like, oh, I want to find my husband. I want to, have like I want to have more money. And so all those things just started to happen. Like I was like, but I think what we are is these like flawed bodies or whatever. And then we're putting this human consciousness to stretch ourselves to understand. Like, I think we're all connected. We're all one. It sounds so woo-woo, but I don't quite understand it fully. And so I think that's why I'm having a hard time articulating it. But what I found with like the Joe Dispenza thing was like, I guess, like this connection to each other, this like how powerful the mind is, how we can create our own worlds, and how like thou art God. I'm reading this book, A Stranger in a Stranger Land, and you're I guess realizing we're just human consciousness moving just in these bodies, and so it's flawed by like, and then we're having to follow these examples of what the embodiment of God is, like whatever your religion is. And so I think the viewers are going to be really annoyed by this whole like diatribe, if I'm being honest, because I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck this is. But I think it's energy. I think it's energy that connects us all, that created everything. I don't even know fucking how, because I feel like, when people have these near-death experiences, they go off into the, and they, talk about, oh, I remember.
Yes.
And so like they remember everything, and I don't know. So I have no idea, but I feel like it's this
I love it.
all-knowing energy, which is like, I think the reason why it says like in the Bible to say like to fear God, it's not so much to like fear, it's to more respect. And I don't know if the translation was just different, but also fear in the sense of like, oh, if you don't like, because when I had this like, now I have a really powerful connection with the divine, with God, whatever your definition is. But I feel like when I listen and I'm obedient to my higher self, to God, my life goes right. And when I don't, and when I stay in those relationships that like God was like, you need to leave. And I'm like, you're telling me to stay. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you're telling me to stay.
Yeah, I've been there.
So when you don't respect of like, this all-knowing this creature thing, this being, whatever the hell it is that I guess like is in everything, then your life goes awry.
Well, I liked what you said about the fear, because I've always kind of poked at that, saying there's fear. I don't like leaning into the fear.
Because it's all love. I think it's all love.
Yeah, and the way I was interpreting what you were saying about the fear is like it's almost humbling. It's almost like a humbling aspect of awareness that, okay, say something which I believe in, something great. I think everything is greater than me, but this like just magnificent, greater force, if you will, this greater realm of energy is just. It's just being humbled. It's like when someone does jujitsu for the first time, you think of this big, athletic, strong guy, then you go against a scrawny guy who's been doing jujitsu for 20 years and he whoops your ass. It's like, oh.
I've been humbled.
It's not like a fearfulness, but it's a respect of like, oh, okay, I'm so puny in this realm, if that makes sense. So it's not puny in a negative way either. I'm using the wrong words here. But at the same time, I think that maybe that is the interesting way of looking at the fearfulness, like fear, not fearing God and shitting your pants, but just, okay, that's there.
But also like fear of not being, like it says, I think also to be obedient, because it's like, what did that even mean? But once you've gone through the gauntlet of your terrible, chaotic choices of, and then you're like, God damn it. And then you're like, you deal with a lot of pain because of those choices. And then, and then you just have to like go back to the drawing board of like, okay, Father, I didn't listen to you, and you told me this was going to happen, and I double down because I have free will. And now I'm ready to listen. I'm really stubborn.
Well, going back to the drawing board, I think scares a lot of people. And going
Because
back,
it sucks. It sucks to suck. It sucks to eat shit.
It does suck to eat shit. But I don't mind going back. Me personally, I don't know. Maybe this is where I'm at now. I don't mind going back to the drawing board. I've had to do it so many different times, like we all have. But it's an acceptance in many ways. And I think tying it back to the idea when you kind of mentioned it briefly about I don't know if it was beliefs or when people get upset about so-and-so saying something against what they've believed their whole life, that's partially scary because, when it comes to these religious beliefs or afterlife beliefs or beliefs in general, especially ones that people have believed for so long, it becomes part of their identity. So when someone says something different, like when someone believes something different, I'm more fascinated than anything. I don't take it personally. But a lot of people take it personally when it talks about God or the afterlife. Again, I see it all the time, because I think they feel like it's a personal attack because they're now identifying with it. And also, if someone says something that contradicts what they believed their entire life, now it's like, wait, what? So for the last 30 years, you're saying what I believe is bullshit, so they're going to be more defensive than leaning into their belief kind of thing. And if you truly believe it, then you shouldn't get offended. Because no, I believe so strong, it doesn't matter what you say. This is how I feel. And that's cool. That's cool too. But once you start getting defensive on it, I question how strong your beliefs are, but also the fear of maybe having to believe something new when you believe for so long. It's like when you hear all these people like with we've been told that civilization started 6,000 years ago. Now we're getting so much new information that it might be a lot longer than that, at least significant evidence. And then you have the old anthropologists that are saying no way because they've written books, they've taught lessons for 50 years. So it's like a prideful aspect of having to shift and change your perspective. And me personally, I have more respect for people that can just say, oh, you know what? I might have been not wrong, but there might be something different than what I thought. So it takes a lot of balls and courage to be like, you know what, maybe I had this thing a little bit wrong for a little bit, and to shift that gear, because the shift in that gear from something you believed in for so long is so different. I mean, it's scary.
Yeah,
it can be scary, but I think that's the exciting part of it all is that nothing to me, like nothing's absolute. And I try not to attach myself to anything, even stuff that I've been doing forever. And it's a hard adjustment. Like my ego gets involved sometimes. Like, no, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. I've been doing it for so long, but then someone introduced me a new way. Now at this point in my life, I'm like, let me think about it. I'm not just going to react. Contemplate what they said. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, I'm going to stick with my old ways. But at least like that little window of just contemplating what someone's saying. Maybe, just maybe. Yeah. Just maybe. I like saying maybe. Like maybe. I don't know. Let's rock.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Is it?
Yeah. Well, because I mean, like, I think sometimes, like, I've definitely been like, yeah, all right, like.
It get you in trouble sometimes, too, being a little too flimsy. I've sometimes say yes to many things. I'm like, how did I end up here? Yeah. This is terrible.
Oh, my God.
But that's the yin and yang of, like, being open-minded. Like, sometimes you get into shit situations. All right, we're going to figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. But then, like, also I've been definitely really, like, stuck to my ideas and, like, no, and, like, like. And that also doesn't work. It's sort of like a tree in a hurricane. It's like the ones that are more kind of going with the flow. I'm not saying to, be an amoeba again, but like the trees that are very stuck, those are the ones that die and get snap and get uprooted. So I think it's like, it's a balancing act, but also it's like, I think, it's hard to, I've had those conversations with my mom, but I think it's like, if you've looked at things like a certain way for most of your life, like people who are like in their 60s or 70s, it's so much harder to like, because then everything is up for grabs. You have to go through everything in your life and be like, what the fuck is what? And sometimes people are like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, and so it's like,
hold my ground.
It's easier to just like, denial is a hell of a drug. So it's like, to not consider, I guess, like what the truth is or, and I think like, but also it's like, well, what do you put in place of it? And that's also like a scary feeling because I think, people want certainty. And I think that's why we give our power away, like in a lot of ways. Like we give our power away to leaders. We give our power away to, relationships. We give our power to like in a lot of ways because we forget that we are also source. Like we can, like have that connection with the divine and sort of download like, oh, I'm good. I'm safe. I'm awesome. Like I have all the love and knowledge within me kind of feeling, and like I guess like tuning in. I don't know. It's like it's a working theory.
No, it's all, this whole thing's a working something. It's the idea for certainty. To me, I don't know, maybe I'm just, I don't know, I'm not lackadaisical. I'm just kind of like, okay, like what am I can only control so much, and most I can control is over here. And I think I can control the external more than I think, but at the same time, there's some things in the external I can't control. So to me, nothing's certain. So we're chasing certainty because we want to know, because not knowing is scary, and we need certainty to feel safe because not knowing is unsafe. But it's like nothing is certain.
And then all these leaders, slightly on the psychopathic realm, are like, I have all the certainty and I know, and I'm
theater.
gonna,
It's
and
just
then
fucking
it's
theater.
it's
But
crazy.
that's my point, though. Like, we have these world leaders that are telling us they have the answer because it's going to fix our butt, because they know we want safety.
Also,
we
they
want
create
answers.
the problem sometimes.
Of
So
course.
they
So they
create the
can solve
problem
it.
so they can solve
so they
it
can- it's
and
a-
be more empowered.
That's why I've like separated myself from so much of that world, because it's like, yeah, I want to know what's going on, but I realize, that's not as much as it seems like the real world. There's only so much I can do, and like we're all in our own bubble. In order for me to change my world, I got to work on my world.
Yeah,
and it's like there's a balance level of being aware and being involved, but at the same time, sometimes I just stay in my lane, because I'm like, okay, unless I'm gonna dive into that world and try to make a difference, okay, I understand making that my world, but that's not my lane. My lane is what I'm doing here, and I can make my opinion. I have my opinions behind closed doors. I've conversation. I'm not down to talk about anything. Like I don't know what I wouldn't talk about, literally, and so I'll have those conversations. But like I just need to focus on what's going on here. I don't know what else to do.
How did this podcast help your relationships?
Oh God, like all relationships, or
Because you mentioned that it's like helped you living life. So I'm
Yeah.
curious.
yeah. I mean, again, kind of to what I already said. Like in past like intimate relationships, it was just when certain things happen, and vice versa. Like it takes two to tango. It was just kind of. I just don't really take things personally, even when I know it's a personal attack. Like when I have pretty good street sense and intuition, understanding when someone's like coming at me, and I could tell it's spiteful, or maybe they're just hurt because of something I did, or it's just the natural fluidity of a relationship. It's just, I'm just like, oh, okay, no, you're on your own journey. I'm on my own journey. You have experiences before this that I might not even know about that could have caused this projection, and vice versa. I could do the same thing. And it's made me more compassionate, understanding, and not to take things as a personal attack, just for one small example, which takes down the threat of me overreacting and my ability to stay more calm during natural conflict or natural disagreements that's going to happen. It's just made me more understanding from exposing myself to different experiences. Now I have this whole database of all these unique experiences, but they all there's all similarities. And then I just absorb that all and just apply it to my interactions with humans, and just become way more understanding, and understand that if we disagree or see things different, it's okay. Like, I don't know, it's okay. We can do our best to make it work. But then it comes to a point where it's not going to work, then I have no hard feelings. Even when someone could cheat on me, and it's like, that sucks, that hurts, I feel the pain, but it's like, okay, sure, I could have done things better. This is not from accurate, no one cheated on me, but just an example. It's just being more understanding and compassionate to everyone else's experiences that I may know about that could affect our situation. So it's just way more understanding, and also it's a blend. Where there's times you got to you got to stand your ground and not like get run over. There is a balancing act there. I'm not going to let myself get run over, but also sometimes you got to kind of bite the sword. I can let myself get run over and not feel that way, just because this has to pass, and this isn't working, or it can work. So short answer from a long answer is just, it's definitely made me more understanding of the dynamics of just the oddities and absurdity of the way humans are. And just not take it personal. Just don't want to take anything too personal. Because once you take it personal, then you can respond negative, and it becomes toxic and this or that. And it's just, I don't know. It's like a level of respect for the other person going through their own shit that may have nothing to do with me. And if it does, I got to pay attention to that too. It's something I can do better. So it's not like just putting the onus on. I'm compassionate. I'm projecting. It's like, no, there's things I say the wrong thing. So it's a balancing act of understanding the other person, but also understanding me. And all these stories and experiences that I've heard have just kind of made like a smorgasbord of just having like a tool belt that I'm still learning, and I'm just trying to make the best of it. I don't know.
What is your grieving process like? So when you talk about like death and like how did you go about, like, how long did it take you to process your father's death? Like, and do you have like any connection with other people, like, in the 9/11 community? Do you have like, is there sort of like this unspoken, like, oh, this happened to you? Like there's suddenly like immediate or.
I've connected with people that have lost their dad 9/11, but I don't have any like formidable relationships with any. So it's just, I don't have a timetable for it because it's a lot of things I don't remember growing up. I was 12 years old. So a lot of that growing up was, I forget a lot, but a lot for me, like all I know is like growing as I got older. Like I said, my uncle on before this, and we were talking, sharing stories and stuff, and I was like, oh, I like hearing these stories because now I've redefined the pain. The pain has become comforting in a way. Like I'm trying to explain this. It's a weird balance between people get comfortable in the pain, which isn't healthy because then you just stay there because now you attach the pain to the person and you don't want to. If I heal from the pain, then I'm not going to like. It's some kind of like disowning of the person that we loved. I don't think that's healthy. You have to go through it, do what you got to do. But at some point now, I'm at like now the pain that I feel when I hear a story from my dad, it's a sad happiness. It's like it's a redefining of the pain because now the pain I know represents how much I loved him. So it's not the same pain it was, if that makes any sense. And so the hard part for me was becoming a man and being a man now and not knowing my father as a man. So a lot of my grief was like later in my life. Realizing my dad only knew me when I was 12. And I literally said this in the last episode. I don't know which way we're releasing it, but it might be redundant. But nevertheless, it's that was a big process to me as a man today. Is like, oh damn, I'm not gonna be able to have a beer with my dad. I'm not gonna be able to hear those weird stories he could only tell a man. So it's kind of like it's grieving a future of new memories that I'm never gonna have. But now I get to hear them and learn and have new memories through stories from other people, which is nice. And so like, some people don't want to hear stories from the past because it opens up a wound. To me, that's just a trigger of something that has to be massaged out. I think people
I'm like, talk about it. I think deal with it, talk about it, alchemize it. I turned my mom's death into like a film, you know, and so then I was like processing through it and I just saw like the trailer for it and it was so great. But yeah, I mean, but I don't know. As time goes on, I do feel like I have a different relationship with death because when my mom died, she did come to me. Sometimes they'll come to me in dreams. And so she came to me that morning of like, her message was, I miss being young. And literally she had messaged my niece being like, oh, you know, I used to look this way, but I don't anymore. Like, and it was something to do with her youth. Like that was the last message that she sent. And like, that was, I don't know, like just really interesting and like, powerful, and I couldn't stop hearing her voice. Or like, you know, there was a moment when I was sort of arguing with, or me and my sister, like I love her, but there was a moment when I felt I think we were both challenged, you know, missing our mom and looking at things in a very different way from each other, and she. And I kept hearing like, I'm not going to Christmas and I don't want to see her. And my mom was like, go, just trust me. It's going to be a great trip. Like, I promised you. I'm like, I don't want it. And I'm just crying. I'm like, I'm like screaming at her in this imaginary, like whatever. But my mom, like she will come to me and then everything she said was right. Everything she said was right. There was no way that I could have like known that, you know, because sometimes it's not always like a great trip or like, I think in the past and like in this particular one, it was exactly what she like said and foresaw. And so I do think that like you gotta deal with it. You gotta face it. You gotta talk about it. You gotta like wring that towel out. Like keep crying, keep like I think you have to, I think like animals shake when they go through trauma. And so I think our mechanism is crying. And so that's like, we need to like shake, we need to move it out. And if we don't, then it's like this stuck thing that, you know, I think like can create disease, can create problems, can create like a lot of things.
Manifest into totally something physical or not, but it manifests into some other shit.
And it sucks because we're conditioned, I think, in a lot of ways to not cry, to not like, you know, maybe I think that's there was this really great talk. Oh God, he's so good. He's a Mayan like shaman, and he talks about in the Mayan culture where, you know, the Western civilization, what they don't deal with anymore is like everyone like just stays stuck and this feeling and this tightness. And so what they would do, they would grab people from the village and they would all come together and hold this person while they wail, why they, they cry. And so now, because everything is kind of become westernized, he would like just pump them up with like alcohol, so they're suddenly like more free to feel, and he would just be like, I want you to cry. And so they would cry in the center of the village, and that would be normally, like in Western culture, be like, you're crazy, this is like, why are you doing this, why are you embarrassing yourself? But in the Mayan culture, this is what you did. You cry, and then everyone comes together and everyone like helps, and you heal it and you move through it. And so he talks about like allowing yourself to move through it, and it makes so much sense to just allow and like just clear everything out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we're gonna get kicked out soon, but I want to share one. We're gonna have to run this back. We'll have to run this back again, by the way, because it went backwards. Like I thought we were talking heavy grief, and then we're topping it off with the grief at the end. But one quick story. My mom was telling me, I don't remember this at all. I don't know if it was like weeks after 9/11. She's like, I must have walked. I don't remember this, but I must have walked into her bedroom like the middle of the night, and she told this on the first episode we did. She's like, yeah, you came into the bedroom and you kind of like woke me up and you just like gave me a hug and just sobbed. She's like, you were crying before that, but this was like a sob, like almost like a Mayan sob, like you just explained. And she was like, I remember holding him, and she was like, looked up, she's like, thank God. Like, she was like so happy that I let that out. And who knows if like just that one, unless you do this Mayan stuff for however long you need it, but who knows, you don't know how much that one sob, that one release of this energy could be, how important that could be. Like, I don't remember it, but who knows if that one massive release of like deep sobbing just relieved this energy that I needed, and who knows if I ever needed it again. But like, we just don't know the power of that one release, let alone all these other releases we need. But I totally agree, because I think it's just stagnant energy that just stays in there, and you can feel it. You do feel it if there's a weight, or it's somewhere in your body, and
it's a tightness that happens, and with tightness, you're in protection mode, but then that creates tension, and then everywhere problems, and then like tension in your organs, tension in, just your body, and then maybe you're not as mobile, or you can't work out as well, and then like it's a problem that just creates like problems upon problems upon problems. And so like definitely like check that out, guys. Like I would say like, okay, so just Google like Mayan shaman on grief, I think, like on YouTube.
I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna have to post that. But yeah, sorry. She hasn't knocked on the door yet, but I appreciate your time to. This is
awesome. I feel like we could keep going.
I know. So I might have to pester you again if you ever want.
I would love that.
If you ever want to do this again, I come back east all the time. So it'll be. Eventually, I'm going to move here, but hopefully by the end of next year. So either way, we'll love to make this happen again. You're so much fun. That was a fun conversation. Awesome. Just two podcasters going at it, apparently. But again, thank you. You're awesome.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Yeah, it was
this
a good time.
Is great.
All right. Until next time, I don't know which camera I'm looking at. That one. If you're not watching on YouTube, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Peace out. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Dead Talks. Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell. That'll give you updates as to when we post a new video, more episodes, and more content in general. We are streaming on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and all that. And also find us on Instagram at Dead Talks Podcast or www.deadtalks.net. Thank you so much.